First of all, I want to thank you guys for all coming out and covering Penn State football. I want to thank the fans. I thought we had a really good crowd for a 12 o'clock game out of conference. I think if you think about when we got here, what our attendance numbers were early in the season compared to where they are now is a tremendous improvement. So I want to thank the fans and for the Penn State community for rallying behind us. That was awesome. Excuse my voice. A couple things that I visited with the team about in the locker room that I would say is, the good things from that game is number one, we won. We found a way to get a win against a good opponent here at home. That team was beating Illinois at halftime on the road. So I'm pleased with that. Number two, we stayed healthy. Number three, and these are things I don't want the players thinking about, but as a head coach, I'm trying to manage all these things. So, number three, we got a lot of guys reps. A lot of guys, again, played for the first time today, which is really important. Creates a healthy locker room where there's a lot of guys that feel like they had a role in the game. That creates a really healthy locker room. We limited our starters reps. Guys, all this stuff is critical because we got a short turnaround. We don't have a game, we don't have a day off this week. We practice tomorrow. We normally have off on Monday. We don't have off on Monday. We'll practice Monday, and then obviously we got the game on Friday night in Champaign. So all those things, I don't want the players thinking about it, but as the head coach, there are things that I'm trying to manage from a big picture perspective. Areas for improvement, it's what everybody in the country is fighting for, is consistency. There's times we look like a Super Bowl team, flashes of really good things, and then there's other times where we're hurting ourselves and the opponent had nothing to do with it. We can't do that. So we got to be more consistent in everything we do, especially defensively. We got to eliminate the pre-snap penalties. Guys, think about this. We had one penalty that we jumped off sides on third down, which created a first down. Then we came back, did it again. As a smart football team, they took a shot on that play, scored a touchdown. So two penalties, one equaled a first down, another one equaled a touchdown for them. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we had 3 penalties that took 3 touchdown passes. So we took 21 points off of the board. 3 touchdown passes that came off the board for penalties. So I'm pleased. I think the score was 62-10, I think. I'm pleased. But the positive is there's a lot of area for improvement and growth. And for where we want to go, we got to keep heading there. There's a lot of other cool stuff that I can read to you guys on here, like Sean Clifford coming in and throwing the longest touchdown pass in Beaver history, Beaver Stadium history. Pretty cool. And all the guy does is comes in, he refuses to do anything but throw touchdown passes. Pretty cool for him. There's a lot of stuff I can read to you, but overall, we found a way to get a win against a good opponent here at home, protected our home turf, and get ready for our next opponent. We'll enjoy this win tonight. We got to be smart about it, and then get into our business next week for our next opponent. Open up the questions, guys.
We'll get Mike to you.
James, can you assess where you're at after 3 non-conference games, going into the Big Ten schedule, and also what do you do about drop passes? How do you go about correcting them?
Well, I think, first of all, DeAndre Tompkins, who we have all the confidence in the world, he runs down the field, lays out, completely vertical, makes a fingertip catch in the back of the end zone. Huge play. So I'm so happy for him. I'm just going to keep believing in these kids. I'm going to keep loving them. Like I said earlier, we have shown that we can be big-time players. We just need to be more consistent. That's everything. That's pre-snap penalties. That's drop balls. That's holding penalties. It's all those things. So there's some things that go with experience. We got pick plays, run plays, where there's a way to get in the guy's way without, creating a pick penalty. So there's just some things that we got to improve on across the board with consistency. Catching the ball is one of them. But once again, I got all the faith in the world in Brandon Polk and Jawan Johnson and DeAndre Tompkins. Those guys are big-time players. So, the way we're going to deal with it is keep coaching them hard, keep loving them hard, and that will take care of itself.
James, obviously with the new redshirt rules, you're able to do this with the guys who played the first time. Can you talk about the strategy that went into picking this particular game to play a lot of those guys for the first time, and how you thought they did as a kind of group?
It wasn't really necessarily this specific game. It was how it ended up playing out, if that makes sense. So, we know we got a certain number of guys that we have the ability to get them some game experience. It turned out the way the score went this week, that this was the week to do it. So we talk about this every week, but the way the game played out, we were ready to get those guys in. Now all those guys have gained some experience. So some of those guys have 2 games left. If you look, we played Tarburton for 2 games. We said we're going to shut him down, use Oway. We're able to get him some experience. And now we're in a situation where we can use Tarburton late in the season to solve some problems with injuries and hopefully maybe still be able to redshirt him. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, is manage it. The way the season plays out, something's going to be outside of our control. But right now, how things are going, we want to be able to get some guys experience for this year, but also for years moving forward. So the way today played out allowed us to do that with a number of guys that fit that scenario.
James, are there advantages for you from a coaching perspective? You're winning big in these games, but you're making some mistakes. So you still have coaching and teaching moments when you go back with all these kids. They feel good, but you can still work on them and show them, hey, here's what you still need to work on.
Yeah, I think I understand your question. Yeah, I guess here's the deal. You don't have to lose a game like to get a wake-up call and to figure things out. I think that's a common misconception out there. It's like, why do you have to lose the game to get the wake-up call and to figure things out and have the most growth? So in some ways, I'm going to be honest with you, I coach them harder after wins because I think in a lot of ways, emotionally, they're more prepared for that. They're going to handle that. Where after the losses, you want to be careful you don't beat them up too much. So it's how do you balance all those things? Now, there's also the fine line after we win. I want it to feel like we won. So we do things to make sure that it doesn't get to the point where like winning is the expectation and the losing kills you. I don't want it to be that either. But I would say after the wins, a lot of times, I'm going to set a tone in the office with the coaches and the players where we need to be harder, in some ways in those situations. So I guess that would be my explanation to you, is there's tremendous growth that needs to happen from this game, and we shouldn't have to go through a situation where we have a setback or suffer a loss, because the reality is the mistakes are there, whether you win or lose, and what's going to allow you to keep winning is getting those things corrected. There's still a bunch of stuff, on that tape that's ugly and smells bad. And winning sometimes is kind of like the deodorant that covers it up, the funk, perfume, cologne, whatever you want to spray over it, that's the win. But that doesn't mean you still can't correct the issues and the problems because they're there.
James, what does a day like today say about Trace when you had those penalties that called back touchdowns, when there were some drop balls that he was out of his control?
Well, you watch that guy, and his body language and his demeanor doesn't change. A lot of times you see guys like that, their body language and demeanor, they're all over their teammates and they're sulking. That doesn't help anybody. If you're a young quarterback out there, watch Trace McSorley. The guy's been winning since he was in diapers. That's all he does is win. And it's because of all those things that he doesn't get enough credit for. It's how he is as a teammate. It's how he supports the guys. It's how he is when they make mistakes. It's how he is when they make big plays. And when he comes in here, he's always giving credit to the O-line and the receivers and the running backs. The guy is a model in terms of how you conduct yourself at the most critical position in all of sports, quarterback. So I love the guy. I got a man crush on him. I always have. I will for a long time.
James, at halftime, are you telling your starters, Trace, Amani, like, hey, get this up to a big lead, I can get you guys resting on that? And then
No, I never talk to the players about getting them out of the game. You start talking to your coaches like that in pregame, you talk to the players like that, that sends a message, which, as you guys know, I'm completely against. This game today was the Super Bowl. We're going to treat it as such. We're not going to talk to them different. We're not going to approach things different. Now, me, I got things that I'm managing. There's no doubt about it. But I won't talk to the media that way because the players read what I say to the media. They pick up on all those things. They sense our body language. They can read between lines. So our approach and our message never changes week to week.
And in the return game, specifically with DeAndre and KJ, what about them makes them so special in that area?
Well, they're guys that obviously when they get their hands on the ball, everybody in the stadium is excited to see what they're going to do. We as coaches are, and the special teams coordinators getting gray hair on the opposite sideline. That's the reality of it. I also feel like when you got an explosive guy as a kickoff returner and a punt returner, it has an effect that all the other 10 guys play better because they know if they can hold their block a second longer, this guy can take it to the house. So that energy, that positive energy that happens back there with that returner, it feeds into everybody. So, that's why recruiting is so important. That's why development is so important. We got guys right now, when they touch the ball, it's scary, and it's going to be important that we continue to develop those guys and continue to find those guys all over the country, wherever they may exist.
Time for 2 more.
James, it's the last few minutes of that second quarter. Interception's almost returned for a touchdown, but Trace McSorley tracks it down, makes the tackle. It could have been 21-14. They settled for a field goal. How does that accountability resonate without the entire team when your star quarterback's making that kind of play?
I'd make 2 points there. I agree with you. Typically when you throw an interception, you should be the angriest person on the planet, and you should go make the tackle no matter what. That situation is a little bit different because it went through a receiver's hands. You still got to get it done. At the end of the day, you still got to get it done. But what I'd also tell you, one of the areas of emphasis for us in the offseason was studying sudden change defense. And every Friday when we have our walkthrough, we talk about sudden change defense. We talk about that mentality. When you go out on the field, it's not, here we are, go have to run out the field, offense turn the ball over, woe is me. What a great opportunity for our defense to go out and swing the momentum back in our hands. So Brent Pry and our defense have done a great job of embracing that. And when you're able to take that, you get a turnover backed up into your own area, and you're able to stop a guy, stop a team, and then hold them to a field goal, that's a win. That's a huge play. So yeah, Trace gets a lot of credit, but also our defense, if you look, there's been a shift in us in how we play sudden change defense. And it's because we've emphasized it, our defensive coaches and players have embraced it.
Kent State's known for having a fast-paced offensive line. How did you practice this week in preparation?
Yeah, so, we have a reputation of running a no-huddle spread attack, but we're not fast. That's the reality. Everybody knows that. We don't go fast, so we don't threaten people that way. So what we had to do was we did some things in practice with our scout team where we showed our scout team 2 cards in the huddle so they could go up and run the first one and run the second one and do it quickly. But the scout team, if you don't run that style of offense, you're never going to be able to simulate it the way you need to get your team ready. So our offense lost out on 10 minutes of their own preparation this week on Tuesday and Wednesday because we simulated their offense to get our defense ready. And I thought it went really good. We had a lot of discussions, do we do it 1 day or do it 2 days? And I just felt like after the first day, it was good for us, but we didn't get enough out of it yet to really grow and learn what to expect. And I thought that put our defense in a pretty good position to be ready and prepared, to play pretty good. I think they do a good job offensively. I think their head coach is one of the young up-and-coming guys in the business. And their quarterback is a problem. And they did a good job with the check with me stuff, spreading it out horizontally across the field to create some running lanes, to force you into making some decisions. And then, throwing some of the perimeter stuff as well. So they got a nice scheme. It's the same thing that Baylor used to run, and Syracuse has run at a high level. So I think actually facing that style of offense is really important for us moving forward. So I'm pleased with overall how we handle it. There'll be a bunch of stuff on tape that we need to learn from as well.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.